How you doing? Okay, so I, as promised, was going to do some short tutorials on some of the questions that I was asked on the Mala competition that I ran recently. Now, one of the biggest questions that came up, which was asked quite a few times, was about breathing and about how do I breathe in yoga. You know, I hear the yoga teacher making this kind of sound, and I don't seem to be able to keep up with my breath. I lose it. I don't know what I should be doing. So basically, breathing. So I'm going to go over the breath. Now, I never write down notes. I should maybe have written a few notes down, and hopefully I'll cover everything, or this might get done in about 3 or 4 takes. So this is take 1. Let's see if I can get it all in one go. So, as a beginner, okay, if you are new to yoga or you're kind of improving and you're still struggling with the breath, there is one breathing that I recommend you try to wrap your head around and use. Now, breath work, pranayama, prana, life force, so anything that is starting the words with prana means breath, okay? So pranayama is breath work. Now, there are many types of breathing, pranayama within yoga, Kapalabhati, Nadi Shodhana. There's loads of all these different breaths and breathings. There's ways of rotating the stomachs around, but very simply, stick to one breath, which is the Ujayii breath. This is the first one that you should try to learn and conquer and master before we move on to the others. Now, Ujayii, also known as victorious breath or ocean breath. And it's very obvious why it's called the ocean breath, because it very much sounds like a wave coming in and a wave going out, okay? Now, before I go into how we do this, I'm going to explain why we do this. From a scientific point of view, biological point of view, and from a yogic point of view, why we apply it to our practice and what it does for us within our practice, and then I will show you how to do the breath. So first of all, ancient yogis believed that we were all born with a certain number of breaths. We were all given, and it could be different to anybody else. So it makes sense to try and make each breath as long as we can, okay? If we've only been given, let's say, 10,000 breaths, obviously we haven't, we've been given more, then we want to make these breaths as long as we can. So that's quite a nice little bit of folklore behind the breathing. Also, if you can imagine, so the physiological side of it and the biological side, biological, is that the right word? When we breathe, we draw in oxygen into the body from the atmosphere, and this gets into our blood and travels around all the body, feeding all the muscles, the extremities, the internal organs with oxygen-rich blood. Now, when we tend to get anxious or stressed, our breathing changes. We don't breathe deep down into the belly anymore. The diaphragm stays quite high, and our breath stays up in the sort of collarbone regions. Now, what this does is it changes the oxygen levels within the blood, and what happens to you, the knock-on effect of that, is that you may become dizzy, lightheaded, palms start to sweat, and any other physical skin kind manifestations. I mean, I know my mother suffers from anxiety and she gets weird sensations on her head. I've had many a year of anxiety in my life, and mine manifested in my thighs. I used to feel like somebody was pressing their fingertips down into the tops of my thighs. Now, what's happening is, because you are starving yourself of oxygen, your body is only sending what oxygenated blood it has to the main organs, and your body classes the main organs as everything in the center of your body. It doesn't class things like skin, fingers, toes, and weirdly, your head and your brain are not considered important when it comes to your body and oxygenated blood. So they're the last things to receive this. Okay, so when you're in stress mode, your body will go into survival mode, and it will only feed the vital organs with what oxygenated blood it has. This leads you to not only have physical manifestations, sweaty palms, tingling fingers, funny in the eyelids, on your skin, crawling sensations, and you're like, hell's going on? Also, because the brain is included in that not important list, you become unfocused, jittery, I can't think of the right words at the moment, but all the words that would, so that you're not thinking straight, you don't have any clarity, your thoughts are racing, and you're in a state of anxiety. So, firstly, Ujayii breath addresses the oxygen levels within your blood. Now, what I want you to imagine now is an hourglass. Imagine a glass hourglass, yeah? That goes like this. And it has all the sand in the top, and you turn it over, in the bottom, and then you turn it over. The sand pulls through this little nipped-in waste, and it drops through very gently and disperses to the bottom. Now, if that waste wasn't there, if we expanded it out and turned it over, all that sand would straight to the bottom of the hourglass, the egg timer, whatever it is. So I want you to imagine that the Ujayii breath is very much like instilling, like an egg timer-like gadget in your body, which allows the breath to come in nice and slow. The slower the breath comes in, the more concentrated it is, and the more likely it is to feed your muscles and give you oxygenated blood that can then be pumped around to all your extremities, making sure that your muscles work without fatigue and can carry on under load. Your brain has enough oxygenated blood as well, also, to allow you to think clearly. So that is what the Ujayii breath does. It brings the breath in slowly and forcefully, distributes it into the body correctly. Rather than going, oh, it's all in, we are now going to go, and we're going to elongate those breaths out. So that's the science behind it. So it is something that you can do. You don't even have to do the physical side of yoga. You can just do this pranayama practice on, as you're driving, when you're laying down at night to go to sleep. Practice it whenever you feel anxious. I use it a lot in other areas of my life. When I'm about to take the bike out on track, for instance, I will sit and do Ujayii breath, and it calms me down, and it reoxygenates my body, my brain, and I'm much more clearer. I used to race bikes. I don't race them anymore, but I still go out on track. And since I've done yoga, whereas I used to be hammering up to a corner at like 140, whatever, shitting myself, since I've kind of mastered some breath work, I'm like, yeah, I'm a bit calmer. I can take this in. I can check out the dandelion there on the right and the tire mark on the left there. I've got my left and rights mixed up, but you know what I mean. So everything is slowed down. It's a little bit like that film with Bradley Cooper, where all of a sudden, I can't remember the name of the film, but where all of a sudden he's just aware of everything. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get superhuman powers like that, but breathwork can certainly bring you to a place where you are more composed, where you are more balanced, and you're less likely to react. You can watch and observe. Okay? Now, in our asana practice, when we bring it into the physical practice, so you can just sit and do these practices, you don't have to be moving, but when we bring them into our physical, we then use them as a guide to move in and out of postures. So, we're going to take the sun salutations to start with. Now, usually with the pranayama here, when we take a back bend, when we open up through the chest, we would draw the breath in. It feels natural to do that. Inhale, open, expand the chest. And when we take a forward fold or a back body stretch, we'll come down, and it just feels natural to expel the breath out. Brilliant. So you can imagine when we're going through sun salutations, what it can do is it can help guide you and almost tell you how long to be in a pose. So when you take that first inhale into your upward facing salute, your Ujayii, you will inhale. Okay, I finished my inhale, so now I can take my travel down into Uttanasana, so forward fold, exhale. Okay, then you would inhale, step back into Anjaneyasana, hold. Maybe you'd hold it here, step back to down dog, and then exhale. Inhale, come forwards to a high plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, come into cobra. Exhale, chin back to the floor. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea of how the breath works. With each pose, you would breathe in or out to a posture. With one exception, in sun salutations, I tend to, when I come into down dog, from either coming down from standing or coming from the floor back, I would hold my breath until I got into down dog, and then I would exhale. So these are the reasons why we do this breath. Not only is it very important physiologically, mentally, but it's also like a guide, like a timing aid to help us through our asana practice. Now, how do we do this magical breath? I hear you say, go on Tess, just get to the nitty gritty. Okay, so Ujayii breath. You can all whisper, all right? If you can whisper, you can do Ujayii breath. And I've had many people go, I can't do it, I just can't do it. You can. There's not really a lot that you can't do, if I'm honest, but you can do Ujayii breath when you put your mind to it and you think about it. Just take the time to sit on your own and just practice it. It's all based in the throat. We're all toning up these muscles here. This is a muscle that you can restrict, okay? So you can take it from full to half. And that's what we're going to do here now. Whisper. Take a moment just to whisper. And if you can feel the muscles in your throat that you are using to whisper, they are the muscles that you would use. You're restricting them down to use to do your Ujayii breath. Okay? Now, you can keep the mouth open. Keep those muscles engaged and suck the air in. Sounds like a death rattle, right? Okay, now do the same on the exhale. So it's the same muscles that you're using to achieve that whisper. Okay, all right. Pause this if you want. Have a little go on your own. When you feel that you've got it and you're there with the re-hit play, and we'll carry on. Okay, so you've mastered the inhale, exhale, mouth open. Now do that with the mouth closed. There will be no sensation around the nose as you do this. You're still forcing the air in and out through this narrowed windpipe in your esophagus here. But now it looks and sounds something like this. Now don't be surprised if you hit a gurgling sensation or if it all goes and you're like and it's all coming through the nose and you're like, oh, stick with it. Just stick with it. You're toning up muscles that you're not used to using, so don't be surprised if you can't get it straight away. But carry on with it. And what you'll find is that you'll be able to suck that breath in for so long, it'll just go on for hours. Like, normally you'd go, breath in, breath out. Now, let's see how long we go, right? So we're on 45. Okay, so that's an average of 10 seconds that I could draw that breath in. And you can go longer, you know, but that's That's way above what you need to be doing. 2 or 3 seconds is fine, 4 or 5 seconds. And then, same on your exhale. Now remember, it's the same muscles that you use to do your whisper. And as I said in the beginning, this sounds very much like the ocean. So we're wave rolling in, wave rolling out. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay? Put this to practice with your sun salutation. Do each movement with one breath, with the exception of when you step back to down dog or when you come back through to down dog, hold the breath and then breathe out when you get into downwards facing dog. All the others in your sun salutation, you can breathe as you're doing them. Okay, so you would inhale, salute, exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, low lunge. Hold the breath, step back to down dog, then release that exhale out. Down dog's always nice as well if you're building up heat and you're going through your sun salutations and you're building up speed and heat in the body. Down dog's always also is also a nice place to do a cleansing exhale. So here you would just go, just let it all out. We do actually release toxins and gunk and debris and shit on the exhale. You know, you're releasing them all in the body and they can actually come out. So we do call it a cleansing exhale. Anyway, I think I've covered everything. Why we do it, what it does for the body, how it helps you reduce stress and anxiety. So very basically, there is your Ujayii tutorial. Let me know how you're getting on with it. All right, guys? So until next time, I will do some more. I will see you soon. Ciao.